Hello everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Hillbilly Files. I'm Leo and I'll be your hillbilly host for the day. Today we are in Logan County, West Virginia, just outside the town of Logan, West Virginia. We are at the Chief Logan State Park today. Now I brought you over here today because there's a whole bunch of stuff over here that I want to show you. Historical artifacts. They have a museum inside there. There's several other things that we wanted to get over here. As we've mentioned before, I've mentioned a couple times that at any given moment we'll probably have 6-7 stories in the pipe, so to speak. This one needs one more location, that one needs the finish, these three need edited, whatever the case may be. But there was several that I wanted to come over here today and video several of these things for you and show them to you. And I'm wearing my Williamson shirt today, so yeah. But anyhow, first thing I wanted to show you is directly right across the street here. We have some very old equipment that I wanted to show you, an old steam locomotive and some other old equipment that you might find surprising. You've seen some of the modern equivalent of these older machines, and we're going to show you real quick how your grandparents did this stuff, how they got things done. But anyhow, I guess we get right to it then, huh? Right across the street here. Now, like I said, that's the main office right there. They have the museum is inside there and several other things. They had a restaurant in there for a little while, but I like the museum better. But just right outside, if you come right across the street, you'll see this. This is the Chesapeake and Ohio 2755 steam locomotive. Just look at the size of that thing. Now, I don't know if you can tell, perspective from video without a frame of reference, but this thing looks to be, how your average engine, train engine these days, they're diesel and all that good stuff, and they're 15 feet tall, something like that, give or take. The wheels on this thing are taller than me. Just the wheels are bigger than me. This thing probably stands about, just guessing, I'm gonna say 30 feet tall, 40 feet tall. It's really, really big compared to the train engines that we're used to seeing. And like I said, this was an old steam locomotive, and you put the water in up top, and they had the boilers. But anyhow, here's let me get out of the light so you can actually see the sign. The Chesapeake and Ohio Kanawha Class K4, engine 2755. This model 2700 engine, 55th of the series, was donated to Chief Logan State Park in March 1961. Engine 2755 was one of 90 engines that hauled coal, which was mined on property that now belongs to Chief Logan State Park, approximately 90 miles to a steel mill in Russell, Kentucky. The use of the steam engine was abandoned with the invention of the diesel engine. And it has date about the engine itself. Road number 2755, builder Lima, Ohio, 1947. Weight 1 million pounds. Did you see that? Coal capacity, it hauls 30 tons and held 21,000 gallons of water. This thing weighs 1 million pounds. Did y'all catch that? 1 million pounds. Now, like I said, this puppy is big. It is massive. It's unbelievably huge. But there's the old tender. They would keep wood in a lot of these, or coal, to heat the water, to make it boil. to produce the power to turn the wheels. That's how they did it. They used water and typically coal, but some used wood. But around here, most used coal because it's easily accessible and there's a whole lot more power per pound in coal than there is in wood. But I just thought I'd show y'all that since it was right here. It's really cool. And they do tours of this thing sometimes. The lady that does them, she's off today. So, oh well, we'll look at it from out here. But if you come over here, go by the office. If the lady that is here that does tours, they said she'll be happy to show it to you. But the historical marker, they got one of those right here. It says built by the Lima Locomotive Works in 1947. The C&O 2755 was an integral part of the coal mining and railroad industry in West Virginia. Retired from C&O Railway Service in 1956 and moved to its present location in March 1961. Placed on the National Register of Historic Places September 28, 2006. And you can see old railroad tracks. They've used them as a little, you know, little walkway kind of thing, little guard. Park your vehicle, you don't hit the fence. But a couple things right over here around the side that I noticed when I pulled up, I wanted to show you as well. They have some old equipment out here. Now the park itself, guys, the park is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's just nature, wildlife, animals. It's spectacular place. It's beautiful. But anyhow, looky here. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not 100% sure what that is. What it was exactly used for, I'm not 100% sure. It looks like a small engine to pull other, like a man, haul men in and out of the mine, but I'm not sure. Maybe one of you old-time coal miners out there could fill us in on what this puppy actually is. Now this one is pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious what this one is. Now you guys have seen, I'm sure you've seen old graders these days, how they look. The great big old graders have that blade on them. They level out roads. This is how your grandparents did it, folks. Look at that. How cool is that? It just looks, I don't know, it looks like a skeleton of one. You know, you see these things all day, you know, or all the time. Not every day, but you know what I mean. You see these days, you know, when they're working on roads or whatever the case may be. And, you know, it's a great big old machine. You see this thing, it just looks like it's a skeleton of one. You can see how heavy it is. The wheels are sinking into the dirt. Cool, huh? Wanted to show you something right here, too. I noticed something a minute ago, and I showed this to a couple of the girls that work here. They were parked there, and I was talking to them for a second. My trail guide came out for a minute, y'all. Y'all know I do trail tours and, you know, nature and wildlife, all that kind of thing is, you know, that's my forte. But have you guys ever seen how you'll see a bunch of butterflies? And I don't want to run them all off till you see them. You'll see these guys, monarchs. I'm not going to hurt them or anything. I just want to show you there's a bunch of them. Now I'm sure you guys have seen a puddle of butterflies on the ground. You know, they're beautiful, and you walk through them, the butterflies flying everywhere, and it's just so pretty, you know, and all this good stuff. You know what they're doing? They're down there drinking urine right now. They're drinking pee. How cute are they now? I read somewhere, I looked this up. I was curious about this, about why they did that. So I looked this up. And the butterflies, they use the ammonia in urine somehow to make the powder on their wings. And if you back up, you can see the dark spot. There was a girl. But just wanted to show you real quick. This is Chief Logan State Park. And if you look at it, you can see, you know, this is a mile. So the whole thing's only maybe about 3 miles wide by about 2 miles, something like that. It's not that big, but the place is actually very, very, very beautiful. I mean, you know, you pick state parks based on certain criteria, and you know, you have to be, it'd be pretty, among other things. But you know, there's, like I said, there's all sorts of stuff here to come and see, and there's a wildlife exhibit, and I know it won't go nowhere now. You'll stay there. If you want to walk right over here, look how pretty. Is that not pretty? The old creek. I loved creeks when I was a kid. You could not keep me out of those things when I was little. I can see big old crawdads in there, and fish, and all kinds of stuff. We used to love creeks when I was little. Guess I still do. I wouldn't be standing here videoing it if I didn't, would I? But like I said, this is the main office right here, and the museum is inside. Museum in the park. Okay, this is the Coal Miners Memorial. It's in memory of the coal miners of southern West Virginia who perished from mine accidents or lung disease. May they rest in peace. It looks like coal, but it's not. It's just dark marble. But it's really pretty. And right here in front of it, there's a plaque. It says, donated by United Mine Workers of America, Logan County Commission, and State of West Virginia, October 29th, 1999. And if you've seen any of our other videos, you know, about coal mines and coal mining, that sort of thing, you already know that just simply taking the job was a death sentence. If everything went great and you had a long, prosperous career in the coal mine, you raised your family, and everything went absolutely perfect, you still died from black lung. This job killed you no matter what. It was guaranteed. You took the job. One way or another, the coal mines are going to get you. One way or another. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind, guys. These people, you know, they took these jobs and really have a whole heck of a lot of choice in the matter. You know, it's feed your family or don't. And, you know, when a lot of these guys, they took these jobs, they knew what was going to happen. They knew how it was going to turn out when they took the job. But they did it anyway for their families. You know, something you can relate to these days. You know, you do a lot of things these days just for your family. You know, it doesn't, you get where I'm going. Y'all know what I mean. Anyhow, I'm not sure what the big bell is just yet. I saw it here, but we're gonna find out real quick, ain't we? It says it's the Courthouse Bell. This bell was placed in the bell tower of the Logan County Courthouse in 1905. It was made by American Bell and Foundry Company of Northville, Michigan, and weighs approximately 2,000 pounds. In 1912, the courthouse burned, and this same bell was placed in the new Courthouse Bell Tower, that same year. There it remained to ring out the victories of World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the West Virginia Centennial Celebration in 1963. In 1963, the courthouse was in dire need of repair and was torn down and replaced by a modern building. The bell was saved by Sidney W. Farrell and brought to Chief Logan State Park. The bell is a Logan County landmark and is dedicated to Sidney W. Farrell and the citizens of Logan County. See there? just something, a bell, and you find out that it's actually really cool, you know, and a fire and everything. The old Logan County Courthouse Bell. Big too, 2,000 pounds. I'm sure, you know, like I said, the camera doesn't really show perspective as far as size and stuff, but yeah, this puppy's big. But there's the museum. We'll go in there in a minute. Got a couple more down here. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Beautiful day, ain't it? Check out the trailer. You know how you get cabins, or you know, a camper? There's a log house camper trailer thing. Looks cool. Just hook it up and drive off with your little log house. Looks like spring is finally here, guys. Looks like winter is dead, and I hope it hurt. Okay, now this right here is Chief Logan. There's a statue of Williamson of him that I've shown you as well. An amazing story, an amazing character, and he's one of our stories for the day. But for now, I just wanted to show you his statue, but I wanted to read something to you. Now this is a speech that Chief Logan made. Check this out. I appeal to any white man to say, if ever he entered Logan's cabin country, and he gave him not meat, if ever he came cold and naked, and he clothed him not. During the course of the last long and bloody war, Logan remained idle in this cabin, an advocate for peace. Such was my love for the whites that my countrymen, pointed as they passed and said, Logan is the friend of the white men. I had even thought to have lived with you, but for the injuries of one man, Colonel Gressop, the last spring in cold blood and unprovoked, murdered all the relations of Logan, and not even sparing my women and children. There runs not a drop of my blood in the veins of any living creature. This called on me for revenge. I have sought it. I have killed many. I have fully gluttoned my vengeance. For my country, I rejoice at the beams of peace, but do not harbor a thought that mine is the joy of fear. Logan has never felt fear. He will not turn on his heel to save his own life. Who is there to mourn for Logan? Not one. It's a really sad story of a really good person. If I'm not mistaken, he had ties to the Mingo Indians in Williamson, which is why there's a statue of him in Williamson. But if I'm not mistaken, he was born in Virginia, lived most of his life in Ohio, and I think he's buried, if I'm not mistaken, in New York State. But you know, all that's going to be, you know, the details, all that kind of thing. You know, like I said, we're working on the video. But I just wanted to show you guys this. He's a really great man. Arbiter, orator, statesman, and warrior. You don't see a lot of that, do you? A statesman and a great warrior. Okay. This is a quote by Thomas Jefferson. I may challenge the whole orations of Demosthenes, or whatever the heck that is, and Cicero, and of any more eminent, to produce a single passage superior to the speech of Logan, a Mingo chief, to Lord Dunmore, the governor of West Virginia. Thomas Jefferson was impressed by his speech. He's a great man. It's a different culture. That's all. That's all it was. Dedicated to the people of Logan County, West Virginia. Just look how beautiful this place is. All around you. It's just, inside is just beautiful. Outside is natural beauty. There's all sorts of wildlife here, obviously, southern West Virginia. There's no telling what you could see. They have a trail here called Rattlesnake Trail. So, like I said, there's no telling what you could see here. But anyhow, I'm gonna go in and check out the museum. And then we're gonna head on up a little bit, check out the cabin and a few other things too while we're here. Now this is the museum. Inside the museum, look at that, vaulted ceilings. Beautiful, beautiful building. Big glass. I'd like to live in this thing. They have not only some Hatfield McCoy stuff, but they have, for example, Marshall University. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about the crash, plane crash. One entire football team was lost. I've actually seen the crash site, flew over it in a plane, and you can see the actual crash site when you leave the airport. But here's some memorabilia from Marshall. And that Herald Dispatch. Local paper, what's the date on it? The paper was 10 cents. I don't see a date on it. Yeah, I do. 1971. June 16th, 1971. Over 50,000 coal miners on strike. There's some of about the crash right there. A horrible incident, very tragic incident. There's a whole bunch, like I said, of football players were on a plane and the plane came down. What do we have here? Glassware. The Fostoria Glass Company was built in 1887 in Fostoria, Ohio. But by 1991 it moved to Moundsville, West Virginia. Their famous pattern, American, was introduced in 1915 and was produced continuously until 1986 in well over 200 different pieces. By the late 1930s, Fostoria was recognized as the largest producer of handmade glass in the world. The company ceased operations in Moundsville in 1986. I've seen that pattern. You guys remember, what was that? Cubert. Do you remember Cubert? The game? That looks exactly like those blocks in Cubert. That's from 90s. Yeah, on the Wayback Machine, ain't it? But you can see the same pattern in all of it. Just bigger or smaller. I think I've seen stuff like this before. I think I have seen this pattern. Anyway. Bunch of coal mining exhibits on the other side. These are the Kanawha Glass Company. It's antique glass. And you can see it too, how they'll get that cracking pattern when they get really old, how glass will do. Read somewhere that glass was, technically speaking, it seems solid, but I remember reading somewhere that glass, technically speaking, is actually a liquid. If you see like old windows and really, really old 100-year-old houses, how the bottom of them will be thicker than the top. Now, how wild is that? It's actually flowing to the bottom. I mean, I know that sounds nuts. I didn't believe it at first too, but yeah, you see old glass, you know, like in a window that's been hanging, you know, just hanging straight up. The bottom of it will get thicker and the top of it will thin out. It's Wild, isn't it? You would think of glass as being solid because if you break it, it shatters, but it's not. Doesn't seem like a glass candelabra. Doesn't seem like it would be a real good idea, does it? Seems like you'd want metal. And several coal exhibits. What do we have back here? Oh, this is an old, yes, this is an operator station. Let's see, what, switchboard, yeah. Duh, switchboard. But you've seen these like on, you know, Little House on the Prairie, that kind of thing. That's what it actually looked like. Wow. Just pull it out and you're connected. You may now speak to Bob. Bell system. Had a little dial. Most of you younger people wouldn't know one of these though, would you? Most younger people these days probably never seen a dial except for in a museum. It just looks cool though, don't it? I mean, you can just see somebody, you know, 100 years ago sitting in front of this thing all day long and switching. And you want 206? There's 206. There you go. And then you sit there and eavesdrop on them. This is an exhibit about DU mining. It's a, if I'm not mistaken, it was a little town. Small town. Yes. Yes, it was. Hello. Look at that. A farm wagon. This thing is big. I had no idea they were that big. This thing's like 15 feet tall. My head is just barely above the wheels a couple feet. My head is just right there and it's still going. Let's see. I can't climb up there and look, but you guys can see. Okay, what was in there? Y'all tell me. Conestoga wagon. Okay, I get it. I get it. See, they had, back in the day, there were wagons and buckboards. A wagon had a top on it. A buckboard was just flat. There was no top on it. That is wild, isn't it? Had a lock box on the side. Hinge doesn't work very well, but he's still there. What was this? This is the brakes, I believe. How you operate the brakes here. Alright. In 1880, William Miller of Swan Pond in Berkeley County made this Contessa wagon for a relative. The wagon has 5 wood braces to hold the cloth covering and a 10-foot tongue for pulling the horses. The wagon was passed from generation to generation and over the years was used primarily to haul grain. At some point after Alfred Stanley's ancestors acquired the wagon, it became a popular attraction in local parades. Mrs. Alfred Stanley of Martinsburg donated the wagon to the West Virginia State Museum in 1988. Now see, I kind of figured, you know, you sort of bought wagons like you did, you know, like you do cars nowadays. I didn't know that, you know, you bought a pattern or something and you could, you know, make your own. I didn't know that. So we've learned something new today. Check the detail out. It's really impressive, the level of detail in this. I mean, it looks very professionally made. I'll put it that way. Very heavy duty. Look at that axle. I bet it would hold a lot. And some plows. Old plows from yesteryear. Block and tackle. Log hooks. Take those, the yoke goes through and you hook it off to your horse and, yeah, plow the yard. The hooks here, the tongs you put, those are for logs. You put one in each side of it, and then when you pull on the other end, it tightens the hooks in and locks onto the log, and you can drag it with your horse or your wagon. Another plow. A double. Got a double there. Look at this one. You can see the difference too. You can see the marks. They've got marks in the floor to represent the kind of indentations, you might say, that these make in your garden when you're plowing your garden. Like that one just looks like it's more or less a pitchfork with a wheel. You know, you use something to pull it along. Look at this one. That is wild, isn't it? But you can see the indentations on the ground and there. That one leaves two tracks. This one leaves one big wide track and puts all the dirt on one side of the track. See how that works? When you come back, you just push it back over and cover everything up, your corn or whatever you're planting. Oxen were very common, used to pull wagons and stuff back in the day. I just happened to notice that on the picture. At the hog trial cabin, when they put in the water lines, they found oxen shoes. Put in the water line, they were metal detecting and found a bunch of them. What do we have here? These are Native American artifacts. This is a nutting stone, it says. And you can see the handle with a rock through it. And that's a horn. It says a nutting stone would be used by Native Americans to grind nuts into meal. This particular stone was found in Chief Logan State Park across from the Liz Spurlock Amphitheater. It's a quarter-mile up here, just right up the road. They actually found that. How cool is that? Native Americans used that to grind nuts into basically into the cornmeal, more or less. Except it's nut meal. A bunch of projectile points. Little arrows. That's a preform. That's not done. It's called napping. You can do, you take napping, you take one rock and another rock and you just chip the first rock with the second rock until you form an arrowhead. A pendant, a bone bead, and bird bone beads. That's what we, like, you know, the old stories of, what was it, the island of Manhattan. We bought it for beads. There you go. And that's what we were trading in. Bone awls, drills, a scraper, bone tool. Not really sure what it was used for. It doesn't really say. ceramic gaming piece and a stone gaming piece. Gambling of some sort. And prehistoric ceramic shards from pots and things. Check that out. Prehistoric. Did y'all catch that? Okay. A coal bead, claw pendants, elk teeth necklace, and a dog tooth necklace. Conch disc, shell disc beads, tubular shell beads. Huh. See, I've always assumed, you know, I'd always heard the stories and, you know, about Manhattan, you know, buying the island and stuff, and I always thought, I don't know, I guess I had something along those little round beads in mind or something. It never occurred to me, you know, bones and dog teeth and all this kind of stuff. And more shards. Late woodland projectile points. That's like the old burial mounds, like I showed you in the other video. The woodland people, that's them. So this would actually predate what we would consider American Indian, you know, Native Americans, American Indians, that sort of thing. How, you know, this would actually predate them. And a little pipe, a clay elbow pipe. Huh. That's cool, isn't it? A salt kettle. Now, I've seen these before. You just put water in there and basically it evaporates until there's nothing left but the salt. It's called a salt kettle. Naturally occurring salt deposits called licks can be found near many rivers and streams. Salty water taken at these sites was poured into large kettles like this one. The kettle was placed over a fire and boiled slowly. As the water evaporated, small salt crystals formed along the top edges of the water surface. Large amounts of salt were needed to cure fresh meat, which was then stored in cold underground cellars. Salted in this manner, meat stayed good for many months. It's cool, isn't it? Which I've seen these before. I didn't know they boiled it, though. I thought they just left it out and let the water evaporate. I didn't know they boiled it. But I guess it makes sense. It's a metal vessel. So I guess that makes sense. Huh. Holden 22 mine phone. This early mine telephone belonged to the late Jim Singleton, Logan County's longtime emergency services director and collector of antique telephones. According to the Singleton family, two men removed it from the old Holden 22 mine after the disaster of March 1960 and brought it to Mr. Singleton. It is currently on loan from his children, Kenneth Singleton of Mill Creek, West Virginia, and Evelyn Bledsoe of Letard, West Virginia, and David Singleton of Atlanta, Georgia. Had the crank. You turn that thing and it rings on the other end. Makes a tiny little current when you spin it and rings on the other end. That is wild, isn't it? Who made it? I think it might be Bell, but it doesn't say. See, there's something else I didn't know. You could actually turn this so many times to ring different places, kind of like a party line back in the day. Cool. An old-time general store. Now this is a little bit unique. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but y'all have heard of Piggly Wiggly, right? The grocery store. You see, back in the day, I don't know if you've seen on Little House on the Prairie, where you would go in the store and, you know, you would give the storekeeper your list. I need a pound of flour, a pound of sugar, etc., etc., etc. And he would go get your stuff and bring it back to you. Piggly Wiggly started, I think it was 50s. I could be wrong about that, but they started this thing, the first open supermarket where you could walk around and, you know, look at stuff, pick it up, choose what you want, and put it in your cart, you know, that sort of thing. But this is how it worked for many, 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 many years. You just go in and you give the clerk your list, and he'd go get all the stuff for you. More ice skates there. Look at that. They look old. I don't know if I'd be ice skating out on them things. Look how thick that skate is. Do not try to turn. Go straight. Skull cans. T-balls. That don't sound good. Huh. Old lanterns. Got one of them at the house. Something similar. What was it? Brown mule chewing tobacco. That don't sound good either. The old radio. Right there. That's an old radio there. That predates World War II. They were commercially made in the 40s. You could see them like on Walton's. You can actually see the commercial. That looks homemade. Has some sort of sticker on it though. And the canned food, which that came along much, much later, by the way. And there's the old mason jars. Has the little, has the rings underneath it, little red rings. We've got a bunch of them at the house. Pretzels. What's that? Easy slip-on mop. Okay, I'm kind of curious now. What is that? A dust mop? A polish mop? I guess. Oh, you just put it on a stick. An easy slip-on mop. Gets around the corners too, y'all. Okay, you just get you a stick and put it on the end of it, and you got a mop. The old carbide lanterns right there. You see those headlamps? You put carbide in them, and if you mix them with water, they catch on fire. It's a chemical reaction, and that's what old coal miners used to use back in the day, was old carbide lamps to see back in coal mines. Little tiny stove that would have been used in a very, very small building, like a small post office or something like that. That's way too small for even the smallest, you know, normal sized building. And the old phone, look at that. Loom. Got string in it. It's an old weaving loom. Got a bobbin and pass back and forth through there. Every time you move it, it passes through, makes the lines that go across under there, over there, under there, over there, and you eventually wind up with cloth from strings. An old foot locker. Quilting bees. Pretty, aren't they? You don't see stuff like that these days. You know, handmade old quilts. You see a few every now and then, but they're very rare. Spinning wheel. And a big one. Ooh, it's an antique Zenith TV, y'all. Ooh, I think these are from like the 1800s, early 1800s Zenith TV. Okay, which one is this? Okay. It's Laredo. I thought this might have been the mine disaster. Oh, this is the flood. Yeah, we're doing that story soon too. Look at the detail. Handmade with wood. Somebody was really good at this stuff, weren't they? That is really pretty. Oh, do not touch. I was going to touch the string, but it says don't touch, so I won't touch. It's tempting. You know, it's like putting a toy in front of a little kid. You know he wants to touch it. You catch yourself. You're like, nah, don't touch that. This is the Buffalo Creek disaster. That's what I thought that was about. They didn't have it over here. They got it right there. This is the Buffalo Creek disaster. Basically, it was an impoundment pond on top of a hill, a sludge pond. And the owners let the thing get really bad, really old. And the dam collapsed and it killed a bunch of people. It covered an entire valley, and if I remember right, I think it was like 90 feet of water or something like that. It was a ridiculous, no, excuse me, yeah, 480 foot wall of unstable shale and waste. Yeah, could you imagine something like that? And it just washed over everything and killed everyone. I remember I met this man once that told me that he was working then, worked for the Red Cross, and that happened, and he, you know, was helping with the Red Cross. Said that he ate a peanut butter sandwich and a cup of Kool-Aid on a pile of trash, and then when they got back to work, he moved the pile of trash and found his sister was underneath it. And I remember him telling me this was back in the early 90s, something like that. He said that he could never handle peanut butter sandwiches or Kool-Aid ever since. He said, I can't, I hate peanut butter and Kool-Aid. I can't handle them. I can see that. I can understand that. But we're going to be doing a story on that too. Like I said, there's a bunch of stuff here. Vietnam War. Okay, these are war memorials. This is the Gulf War. A few things, memorabilia, and Vietnam. The first MRE ever. It says Meal Combat Individual. Pork sliced, cooked with juices. B1 unit. That's like the first MRE, huh? That's cool. What's that? Oh, it's a concussion grenade. I didn't know that. I thought they had the typical round ones back by then. I know what that is. It's a smudge pot you cook in. Looks like World War I and II here. Yep. World War II. See, that's the kind of grenades. I thought they had those during Vietnam, but I guess not. We had that sort of grenade, and then during World War II, we had the classic kind you see, you know, the more modern looking grenade. Look at that, what a shell. That's a big one. That thing's looks like it's about 18 inches long. Stuff from an Admiral donated. Let's see, who was it? Admiral T. Joseph Lopez. Some stuff that he's either donated or loaned to the museum. I don't see where it's on loan, so it's probably given. It's probably theirs. Some stuff that an Admiral donated. The mighty Weavy. Okay, I'm curious now. What in the world is that? The Japanese plan was simple: destroy the Pacific Fleet and effectively break the backbone of the United States military at Pearl Harbor. Pacific Fleet. The West Virginia was raised from the mud of Pearl Harbor. Well, I didn't remember that, but I remember hearing about it. I wasn't alive in the 40s. But I do remember hearing about that. Union Jack, the USS West Virginia. Wow. Wow, so this piece of the Union Jack from the USS West Virginia, which was taken aboard the USS Tennessee and saved during the attack of December 7th, 1941, courtesy of Mr. C.E. McLuckin, served on the USS Tennessee. Wow. And Civil War memorabilia. During the Civil War, the North had a lot more equipment, obviously, a lot more things than the South did. All of the manufacturing and stuff was in the North, and all of the cotton production, food production, etc. was in the South. So although the war started off, the South had all the food, the North had all the guns. Spanish-American War. Wow. Wow. Check that sword out. What is that? It's a horse. Okay, hang on. Polo knife. It was captured from Moro tribesmen in 1915. Huh. Wow. That is a wild looking blade, isn't it? World War I. Oh, hello. I missed those. Okay, canvas utility belt, gas mask, artillery, Iraqi artillery compass. Okay. Look at that. That is really pretty, both of them. Is it 30 caliber Browning automatic rifle, manufactured by IBM Corporation, World War II and Korean War era. And the Springfield Army, it's the 1884 trapdoor single shot. And what's the last one? 1860 light Cavalry Saber. light Cavalry Saber. That thing's 4 feet long. Look at this. Light Cavalry Saber. Hang on now. Hang on. We're still going. We're still going. I'm jumping like a foot each time, y'all. The sword goes all the way out to here. Light sword. The thing be dragging the ground if you put it on your belt. Alright, now what was on the inside here? Didn't get to see this. Artists, says it's an award. Is it people? I mean, I know it's abstract, but strange looking creation, isn't it? Ceramic. The commissioning award, it says. The bowl. Replete West Virginia Ceramics 1973 Arts and Humanities Commissioning Award. There's that skull fingers, you know, skeleton fingers on the side or something. And let's see, notable people. He kind of stands out, doesn't he? That outfit kind of stands out. Looks like a, I don't know, country western singer. And so does he. He's even got the fiddle in his hand. He's ready to go. Okay, we're gonna head on out and head on up. And this is, like I said, this is just the museum. This is just the tip. This is just the when you come in place. All right, there's tons of other stuff here. This whole place is set up like that. They're all over the place. All sorts of cool things to look at. That's the Chief Logan statue we were just looking at a minute ago.